Empower that your female child today. You owe it to her 100%. Whether you want to call Senator Natasha stubborn or this woman strong any name you want to call her, but you will not and will never forget her name in a hurry. The 5 aspects that will become a bedrock of your daughter's growth. Stop assuming that the only place your daughter needs to end up is in the kitchen. Times are evolving. If you're still a parent, a mother, a father, still thinking that all you owe your daughter is the kitchen, then you're in for a big joke. It is not only your son that needs to be empowered, your daughter needs to be empowered. 1, it gives them eloquence. 2, it boosts your daughter's confidence. 3, it gives your daughter financial freedom. Then 4, it makes your daughter stand tall amongst anywhere she goes to in that crowd. Then number 5, it gives your daughter what we call choice. Choice is one aspect of growth that a lot of young girls in Africa do not have. The moment you empower your daughter, when I say empowerment, a lot of people think it's only money. Yes, if you've got money, empower your child financially. Education is very important. But if you cannot afford education, make sure you equip your daughter with a vocation. Empowerment is what makes some of us stand tall and stand aside from other ladies. Empower your female child today. That is not to say that they'll turn around and become feminists. No. If you wish to be a feminist, it's different from empowerment. Are you seeing Senator Natasha? You may call her any name you want to call her, but that name is a name you will never forget in a hurry. That name has dominated the social media space in Nigeria for going to 2 weeks now. She fought men, sitting senators with power, a sitting governor with power, a former governor with power. She fought them and she's still standing tall. Whoever that fought beside her or with her is not important, but it's about Natasha. Senator Natasha, I repeat again, what are you waiting for? What makes you think this one go marry, go husband house? What are you equipping your daughter to go to that husband's house with? What are you empowering your daughter to go to that husband's house with? I leave you to answer this question.
The people have been in IDP for the past 2 years. Kogi State government have never declared a state of emergency in that local government, but they declared it in Ihima, where no single life have ever been taken. They are jittering. They are afraid of the charisma, the ambience, and everything that Senator Natasha carries. She is a young lady. Yeah, she has the grassroots. She has the people. And that is why they are afraid. Can I challenge Ododo and Bello put together 10 of them, not to just one, 10 together and in an open ballot. Natasha will defeat them before 4 hours. In 4 hours, Natasha will sweep them. Nobody will vote for them.
You made a lot of allegations against Senator Akpabio. Did you ever approach him to say you didn't like what was going on?
Earlier point, yes, I did. That was last year. That was at the earlier part of, I said I didn't want to go specifically into that. But when the whole relationship started, when I started rejecting the advances, and I experienced the hostility, I did mention a number of times to my husband, who would then speak to him. And there was a time, we were also in London last year, January 12th. We visited him, his wife was there, and my husband was like, oh, why is it that you're a bit unfriendly to her and that she's complained? And then he right there, he was like, oh, why are you always reporting me to your husband? Why don't you tell me directly? And then when we resumed chambers, and the next time I saw him, maybe not allowing my emotions or something, and I was like, oh, dear SP, I've tried to present this a number of times. Why don't you allow me? He goes, Natasha, so you now see that no matter how many times you report to your husband, you have to meet with me. This is my space. Talk to me, blah, 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 make me happy and all of that. So I don't want to go into this. But the point is, I have a number of times met with people, even some senators.
Did you regret telling your husband about the sexual harassment when it started?
No, I didn't regret not telling him. The first thing is, a lot of women find it very difficult to speak about sexual harassment. Even women who are raped, many of them don't speak about it, and that's the worst part of it. Because there's a burden of shame that comes with speaking of sexual harassment, especially in this part of the world whereby it's a taboo for women to speak about any violation of her body or interests. You understand? As a society, we have not developed to a point whereby certain conversations are allowed. And I think maybe probably it doesn't mean I don't trust my husband, but I think I was looking at preserving the friendship between himself and the Senate president. I didn't want to
relationship is totally collapsed right now.
Well, I think as for me, I don't think I would want to maintain any friendship with a person who does not respect boundaries, and I don't think we would have.
They're claiming that there are no evidence, no shred of evidence that you can prove that Akpabio harassed you sexually.
Is this the court?
No, not a court.
Exactly.
This is a television conversation.
No. Let's leave that part.
And I've come back to the fact that you're a lawyer.
Yes, let's leave that part. At the right time, I will prevent at the right time and in the right space, I will present the evidence that I have. But let me say this. While I was illegally suspended, I was not given a chance for the matter to be investigated. And then the committee that was set up, which was headed by Senator Neda Emaswen, they did not invite me. The first time the invitation was sent out, which was on the 5th, that was the very day I submitted the petition. There was a court order that the committee should not sit for 72 hours, but explained to the court the reason why I should face that committee. They went ahead, had the session, had the meeting, came up with the suspension, and there were also complaints by some senators that their signatures it was the attendance sheet that was used to endorse the report and not the senators themselves, which also amounts to the report being fraudulently conducted, which also again means my suspension is void ab initio as well. So a whole lot of irregularities surround my suspension. And then again, when I asked why was I suspended, they said I was not suspended for the sexual harassment. I was suspended for gross misconduct. And then you ask, what exactly was my gross misconduct? What did I do that amount? They say it's because I violated the Senate rules. But are they not in violation of the Senate rules? The Nigerian Constitution does not allow an elected officer to be suspended. But then the Senate says they are bound by their own Senate rules. The Senate rule says that a senator should be suspended for a maximum of just 14 days. Where did they get the 6 months?
I have just about 60 seconds. I'd like you to answer like 2 questions quickly for me. And the one is about the interparliamentary meetings that you went, and the Senate president was also there. And the fact that you were also removed as the chair of the Senate Committee on local content. These were issues that some people thought these were rosy. You were there with Senate President, but after you were removed as the chair of the local content, that was where you got upset because you were protesting your removal.
Now let me say this: I believe that removing me as one of the senators participating in the IPU and denying me participation in some United Nations activities and many other, not allowing me to speak on the floor of the Senate, participating in debates. I was silenced pretty much for 7 months from July last year.
Even though you were judged as one of the best senators.
Yeah,
and you have a long list
most of my activities were done because I found a way of lobbying around my colleagues, lobbying around ministers and agencies, and I was able to attract this project. I was not given on any gold platter in the chambers. So removing me as a chairperson committee on local content and all of these other things were just, like I said, a lot of malice. It got to a point whereby he didn't want me to thrive. He was frustrating me and trying to break me down, so I would succumb and fall into his whims. But again, let me say this. The reason why I speak about the sexual harassment is because a lot of women do suffer. It's a very common societal vice that many people don't speak about it. And I hope to be a voice and give courage to many women, not only in schools, but in corporate arena, in political spaces, so that we would have, women in Nigeria will have safe spaces to be able to
They
try.
say you are embarrassing the nation.
I'm not embarrassing the nation. I'm just bringing awareness so that there can be better reforms, and women like my daughters will feel safer.
Senator, we're going to go. If there's someone who can resolve this politically out of the court, who would that be?
I haven't thought about that, but if there is,
would you like this
then
to be resolved politically out of the court?
It depends.
This to be settled?
It all depends. Let me tell you, when I spoke up about sexual harassment, I was not seeking financial compensation. I just wanted to put out my story and have the Senate president leave me alone so I could walk. That was all I wanted.